Have you ever heard something in the dead of night that shouldn't be there? A sound that creeps closer and closer, making your heart race, while your mind tries to explain it away? Tonight, on Horror Radio, I'll share a story that proves even the most innocent places can become nightmares. Welcome to Horror Radio, where we bring the darkness to your doorstep. If you're a fan of chilling, real-life stories, you're in the right place. Every week, we uncover tales of untold mysteries and unforgettable terrors. Get ready, because tonight's story will haunt you long after it ends. This story takes place years ago when my best friend Jake and I built a treehouse deep in the woods behind his grandparents' old farmhouse. It wasn't much, just a few planks of wood nailed to a massive oak tree with a rope ladder dangling from the bottom. But to us, it was our secret hideout, our sanctuary of adventure. Jake's grandfather always warned us, don't stay in the woods after dark. Strange things happen out there. We'd laugh, dismissing it as just another one of those superstitions old folks love to share. But one summer night, everything changed. Jake dared me to spend the night in the treehouse, and of course, I said yes. We packed a flashlight, snacks, and sleeping bags, climbing up as the sun dipped behind the trees. At first, it was amazing. The sounds of crickets chirping and the distant hoot of an owl made the perfect soundtrack for our whispered conversations. But around midnight, the forest went silent. No crickets, no owls, just a heavy, suffocating stillness. Jake noticed it first. "Do you hear that?" he whispered, his voice trembling. I shook my head. "What?" "Exactly. Nothing." Then we heard it. A faint, crunching sound, like slow, deliberate footsteps on the forest floor below. Jake grabbed the flashlight, shining it downward, but the beam only revealed the empty ground. "Probably a deer," I muttered, trying to convince myself. Jake nodded, but neither of us really believed it. A few minutes later, the rope ladder began to sway. Not randomly, like the wind, but in a steady, rhythmic motion, as if someone was climbing up. Jake shone the flashlight on the ladder, but there was nothing there. Yet the ladder kept moving, each rung stretching under the weight of something unseen. Then we heard the voice. It was faint at first, almost a whisper. "Help me," it said. It sounded like a child's voice, but it wasn't quite right, warped, distorted, like it was being played through a broken speaker. Jake and I froze, our breaths caught in our throats. "Please," the voice pleaded. "Help me. I'm lost." I wanted to believe it was just another kid playing a prank, but the way the voice cracked and wavered sent chills down my spine. Jake leaned forward, cautiously opening the trapdoor in the floor and shining the flashlight down. Nothing. Then the voice came again, from the opposite side of the treehouse this time. "Help me," it said, louder, closer. We scrambled to pack our things, but before we could climb down, the flashlight flickered and went out, plunging us into darkness. That's when we heard the scratching. Fingernails, or something like them, scraping along the outside walls of the treehouse. The sound moved slowly, deliberately, as though whatever it was wanted us to know it was there. We didn't wait to find out. Grabbing our bags, we climbed down the rope ladder as fast as we could and ran through the woods, not stopping until we were back at Jake's grandparents' house. The next morning, we returned to the treehouse, hoping to convince ourselves it had all been our imagination. But when we got there, we found claw marks gouged deep into the wooden walls. Marks no animal could have made. Jake's grandparents refused to let us go near the woods again. They never explained why, but years later I overheard his grandmother talking to a neighbor. She mentioned a little girl who had gone missing in those woods decades ago. Search parties combed the area, but they never found her. Some say she's still out there, calling for help. But whatever it was we heard that night, I know one thing for sure. It wasn't human. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more terrifying tales, don't forget to subscribe to Horror Radio and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you experienced something similar? Tell us your story. It might just be our next nightmare. Stay tuned for more darkness.